Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Success Thursday this week with our tag team of Lorna Mason and John Lawrence. Hi, y'all. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely. So we'll start first, of course, with the favorite retro format. We'll talk about success later. But Lorna, you can get us started. What's your favorite retrospective format and why?
There's just so many retros. And you know what, as someone who struggles with art and I've been actively mocked for my drawing capabilities, I approach retros with trepidation all the time. But if I'm going into a team that are already established, say it's like a team that I've not worked with before, and it's my first retro, I will probably pull out the Sailboat Retro with them, because I like to use this as a kind of baseline to establish where they're at. And I just think it's really useful because it gives me an idea of where they're thinking in terms of risks, issues, what they think are the positives, and where they're at in terms of towards their goals as well. It opens up to what I kind of think where they're thinking and gives me some insights into the team. And I think it's quite revealing as well, because when they're given the vision of the boat and the rocks and things like that on a piece of paper, they'll be like, oh, this is quite noddy. But I think it kind of disarms them a little bit, and they're more open to putting their ideas and their thoughts down on that. So I've used it with a few difficult teams actually, and it's given me some insights into what they're thinking. So I find that quite a useful one, especially on some of the more technical projects I've worked on. And when I say technical, I mean kind of deep diving into some of the real issues that they've been having. Not necessarily technical as in hardware, but the real issues that have been happening. So I find that a really good one.
Absolutely. We've had the Sailboat Retro. I'll put a link in the show notes for people to go and explore that from other people, but definitely a great example of what a metaphor format can unlock, right? It can unlock different types of conversations than when we go straight to the topic. And for those of us out there that have a background in engineering, it might be hard to believe, but metaphors really free up the creative thinking in people.
Yeah. And it's quite easy to draw as well, even for me. If you haven't been on a Bickerblow course or anything, we can draw those amazing kind of artworks and things. You can literally just drop a kind of anchor and even a shark fin or two in the sea. So
you say that I drew it once, and my team pointed out that my boat was floating on top of the water, not through the water.
We probably had the same team at some point, John. They were that critical.
How about you, John? What's your favorite retrospective format and why?
So mine is the Retro Awards. So for anyone who hasn't heard of this one or done this one before, the idea is, and I run this at the end of potentially a project cycle or basically end of a phase. And I ran it recently at the end of the year, last year. Another good time to run it is around Oscar season, so around the Academy Awards, because obviously you're doing awards. But I ran it at the back end of the year with the team. And the purpose and the idea is that you have 3 columns. And the first column is the development or the story I most enjoyed working on. The second column is the development or story I least enjoyed working on. And the third column is a made-up award. And it can be absolutely anything. It could be the best lunchtime snacks brought in by a colleague. It could be absolutely anything at all. And what's really good about this is it gives everyone a chance to reflect and think, actually, over this period, which we're talking about, what did I really enjoy? What did I least enjoy? And then also bring something a bit light out there as well, of being able to kind of talk about, well, I want to give this award to this person. And the way that you then run it is everyone's got a couple of minutes. They put up one nomination into each of the columns, and then they make a pitch. They make a pitch to everybody. If you go through column by column, so starting with probably the thing which you most like to work on, and you do a pitch. I'm nominating this ticket because, and you give the rationale. And immediately it shares the story and shares the appreciation of what went into it and why it was either difficult, why it was good to work on. And it paints the picture to everyone. It sets the mood. And then once everyone's gone through their nominations, you dot vote, you award a winner. And it also means that when you're talking through the one you least liked working on, you can delve into, well, why did we not enjoy that? What was it about it? What could we do differently? And the ones which we most enjoyed, well, what was good about that one? How do we apply this to other stories, other developments in the future? So it naturally brings out lessons learned and things which we should continue doing and things which we should change, but through quite a fun, light-hearted format. And the made up award is always brilliant. There has been some very, very good ones. The release management king was one of them, just someone who was able to continuously release things and was all over it all the time. So yeah, it's a really good format.
Absolutely. It's a great and inspiring format for sure, with a lot of details there. I've heard this in, the Oscar Awards retro from different people, and I really love the twist of the made up award. I think that's a brilliant addition to the format. Right. So now we dive into success and what that means for us. So let's start with Lorna. What does success as a Scrum Master mean for you?
For me, it's quite a personal thing. I mean, you've got the team's delivering, they've increased their velocity, they're predictable and all of that. But for me, on a personal level, it's when a team shows up and they're happy in their work. They enjoy working together. They have that psychological safety. They have the in-jokes. It's quite simple. They're just happy in their role. And, it's almost like you don't need to be there, but they want you there because you're part of the team as well. So, it's really hard to elaborate on that for me. But, my last team, because I don't have a dedicated team in my role now, but, my last team were probably about as perfect as it gets, really, and I miss them madly. They were awesome. And, it got to the stage, when I left, they didn't really need a Scrum Master anymore. But they were an absolute joy. They knew what they were doing. They'd go off and have their meetings. If something came up, they'd be working on it in the evening together. They knew how to pair program. They'd come occasionally when something, they needed help with something. But yeah, you kind of know when your job's done and you've done the right thing, and you can leave a team feeling like, yeah, I've succeeded there. And I think given my start to my Scrum Master career, where they actively didn't want me, made it very clear that I wasn't their Scrum Master. I could hang up my Scrum Master cap and go, do you know what? I've gone full circle. I've done a good job here. And it was just awesome. It was really hard to leave that role, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good sign when you don't want to leave the team, right? Like that's definitely a great sign that the team is performing and that you've done a great job as a Scrum Master. How about you, John? What's your definition of success as a Scrum Master?
It's very similar to Lorna, to be honest, because I'm very much, I believe in creating a good environment, and a good environment then leads to obviously being able to deliver well and being able to communicate well. So for me, the definition of success, well, one of them is actually setting the right foundation of having a good environment and having a team who's happy to collaborate and they are able to communicate really easily, because we as Scrum Masters are there to be the servant leader and empower the teams. One of the fundamental ways of empowering it isn't to, okay, I'm going to get you to deliver. It's how do I create an environment where people are able to deliver and are able to achieve targets, they're able to achieve goals. And for me, that's really important. So touching on Lorna's point, I couldn't summarize it better. Having the way of creating an environment where there's collaboration, a team which self-organizes, self-manages. I've been really lucky to work with so many good teams over the years. I'm going to mention probably the first team which I worked with, who I worked with for I think it was about a year or so. And we created such great bonds on a team which has lots of different types of people involved. And there were lots of different people of different age ranges, all sorts of people in the team. And on paper, you would have looked and thought, well, actually, how are they going to communicate well? But we went through lots of team formation. We created a really good environment where everyone was able to have the running jokes, the in-jokes within the team. We brought people who are a bit quieter. It really got engaged in the team. And that, for me, that was something which I really am proud of, because I saw someone who was quite quiet, didn't always talk in meetings. By the end of it, they were even making jokes about me. And it was brilliant. It was lovely to see that they felt so comfortable that they could crack jokes, that they could engage. And this team, exactly the same as Lorna, they ran so well that they probably didn't need me. In fact, they didn't. They could run the sessions, and that's when I knew my job here was done, because it is that whole comes back to that. As a Scrum Master, you want to make yourself redundant with a team where they can run, and it was brilliant to see. And yeah, as I say, been lucky to work with a lot of good teams as well.
You guys being British, obviously, it means that you have a secret superpower. It's not so secret, of course, which is this self-deprecating humor as a way to get into the team's hearts and get them to feel more familiar with you. Is there some other tip that you can give our non-British Scrum Masters on how to get started in that journey of creating that, I would say, comfort and safety to start be more personal, to share more about the things we are and do as people?
Yeah, I'm a very open person, and it's actually I found for some teams they find that quite difficult at first. So sometimes I have to hold back a little bit because being the kind of personalities, it's almost like I'm a bit too emotional for some people. But I think ultimately, they appreciate that I come from a good place and that I'm just honest and open, and that's how I am. That's what makes me approachable. Ultimately, when I leave a team, they realize that I'm there for them. If they have any issues or problems, I've always been there for my teams. If anything's going on in their life, if they want to talk about it, I'm there for them. I talk about life events going on in my life, and if they want to listen, they can. If they don't, they can switch off. That's absolutely fine. But, if I'm having a bad day, then they will know about it. But more as a conduit for them to go, do you know what? My life's pretty crap at the moment as well. So, feel free to join in. I've got 2 children, so I'm happy to share about all the stuff that they get up to. Because one of them's nearly a teenager, so there's a lot of fun times there.
Oh my God, that is so much like having difficult people in the team. It's
so
like it's
fun.
Totally the same.
It's so much fun. When you catch your 11-year-old playing Minecraft at midnight when she should be in bed on a school night, you think, oh God. And then you get arguments back from the team going, well, what's wrong with that? And you're like, oh God.
Hey, I played Atari or Nintendo or whatever at midnight without my parents knowing.
Yeah, so, you're on your own, Lorna, so it's fine. But, it's fine. But then, I ask about what their kind of career aspirations are as well, because I've come across teams who've kind of been pigeonholed. You're a dev, you're just a dev, you're going to stay a dev. And I've met devs that actually want to be a Scrum Master, or they want to be a product owner, or they want to be a senior dev. God help them. They want to progress. So then you kind of fight their corner with the engineering managers or the dev managers, and you're like, well, they've been doing this work and they go above and beyond. And what can we do to progress them and help them? And I think that's when people realize that you're not just the Scrum Master, you actually care about them, and you're there to fight their corner, and you want to do better. And you're not just there to flounce around and do silly dances at the stand-up, because I do that occasionally as well. But and that's the kind of thing that builds trust. And I think for me, that's also a massive part of being a Scrum Master, is just being there for the team, and just, it is a servant leader role for me, because that's my role. But I'm all about the team, and that's who I care about. And I want to see them progress. And I've worked with product owners who I've helped progress into, from BA roles into their product owner roles. And now they're at product manager roles in new companies. I've had devs that have now progressed into senior dev roles. So, that's where I get my actual satisfaction. That's what makes me tick as a Scrum Master, is watching people grow. And that's how I build the relationships with my teams. So that's what gets me out of bed every morning and makes me happy.
Absolutely. It's a great set of tips. How about you, John? What tips do you have to share with us?
So to pick up on that point, I think, being open and honest, assuming no hierarchies, so never being, well, I'm a Scrum Master, so I'm in charge or anything like that, making sure that you're very open and approachable. And I use some tips and tricks. Bad jokes is one of my go-to. I think I can hear Lorna laughing straight away. My team, I think they're great jokes, but my team challenge them. But even just being able to throw something out there, making yourself a bit more vulnerable, with people going, oh, John, why did you say that joke? It's terrible. And I use the dad jokes feed off Twitter. I'm giving my secret away here, but I can see.
I'll put the link on the show notes, everybody. For sure, get it.
If we've even got time, I'm sure I can share a joke or two. But also, falling back to the retro point, good icebreakers. So creating a team. So one which I really like doing is a 2-minute interview or the 1-minute interview, depending on how much time. Format is you pair up people, and one person interviews the other person about anything in their life, as much information as they can find in 1 or 2 minutes. You swap, and then you have to then do a presentation back to the whole group of your person. So it's a really good way of getting out information, sharing it with the group, And then being able to go, oh, you like that type of music? I like that. Oh, you like that football team? I like them as well. And you see the connections just grow naturally. I think using liberating structures is another good way of creating that team. So being able to kind of use different techniques to make sure that quieter people have the opportunity to find their voice. Once they find their voice within a team, then they then feel much more confident to share that as well. But yeah, obviously the go-to is the bad jokes.
Absolutely. Great tips. Thank you very much for sharing those with us. Part of a successful Scrum Master job is to help the product owner. Tomorrow we explore that critical role in Scrum, the product owner role. Tune in to learn about product owner anti-patterns, what you can do to help the product owner, and a real-life example of what a great product owner is and what made it so. Tomorrow on our Friday Product Owner episode. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.